everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I'm Heather, and today we're doing something super fun and also one of my favorite all-time activities. We're doing a Dollar Tree DIY. So we are taking this fabric placemat with bees and florals and a black back, and we're turning it into a cute crossbody bag with boxed corners that you can wear out and about on your trips. And so we're using minimal materials today, and this placemat is the only fabric that we're using today, and it cost $1.25, so not too bad. As you know, I love Dollar Tree DIYs. I was doing them before I started sewing with some of their crafty stuff, and I'm still going there way more than I should. But you know what? It's fun, and we get to do these fun videos together. So we are going to get into our materials. And then we'll sew up our bag and come back together. Okay, so for materials, it's pretty simple today. We have a number 5 zipper tape, and this is pre-cut. We cut it to 9.5 inches in length, and then we have 2 pieces. We're going to actually zipper tab both ends of this instead of making a 90-degree on one side. I like to switch it up, so we're just going to zipper tab both sides. So these are 1 inch in width, and then 1 3/4 inches in height each, and we're just going to plop these around to complete our zipper tabs. So these are just scrap pieces of vinyl. I have a few drawers full of scrappies for stuff like this. So that's our zipper. And then this is our double-sided Dollar Tree fabric placemat. So you can see we have the bees and the stems on one side and the flowers, and the bees are all going in different directions, which means this is not a directional print, so we don't have to cut it in half. So it's going to be even quicker for us. And then the back is this nice black. So we've got our lining and our exterior already put together, which is why this project is so fast and so budget friendly. So we have that. We're going to use the antique bronze hardware today. So we have 2 D-rings, 1 inch, one 1-inch slider, and 2 1-inch swivel hooks. And I will post links in the description for anything that I have a link for. Obviously, the Dollar Tree I can't link, but everything else that I can link, I will. We're going to use one of our bag tags from the Heartwood and Hide Co. today. We are also using 1-inch webbing, and this is the black and white stripes that we just unboxed from Wonderground Fabrics. We have an antique bronze zipper pull to go on our number 5 zipper. We're going to finish our strap with rivets, so we have double cap rivets here. And then we may or may not use binding, and so I have this here just in case. We're going to see what our inside edges look like. I'm thinking we're definitely going to have to bind our boxed corners. So this I will link below as well, but you've probably seen me use this before. And that's it, guys. That's all our materials for today. Let's get going. All right, so we're over at the machine. The first thing we want to do is just put our zipper pull onto our zipper. And then we're just going to burn our ends to stop the fray. And we're just going to sew on our zipper tabs. So we're folding in half and then we're just sticking our zipper end in there. And you want to sew about 1/8 of an inch away from the raw edge. And then same thing on the other side. And then we're going to trim off the extra. Why is that not cutting? Okay, we're just trimming. So we're just taking our scissors right to the side of that zipper tape. Doing a quick trim. And we're not cutting over our back stitching. I don't want that to come out. Here we go. Zipper is done. And we are sewing on our Juki 20 TL 2010Q as always. I'm just marking the middle of my zipper with chalk. I never cut into zipper tape. And then we want to find the centers of our placemat also. And this is just an air erasing marker. And this just makes a little purple, I think it's purple mark. We're going to do it on both sides. That one's harder to see because it's in a flower. And then I want my zipper to open to the right, so when it's closed, it's closing to the left. So we're going to flip this upside down, and we're going to take our center marks and match them up. Clip together. Now, before we sew this on, I like to attach my D-rings for crossbody bag, and I have cut these to 2.5 inches. This is our 1-inch webbing, 2.5 inches long. I burned the ends already. I like to attach these up at the top with our zipper. right up to the zipper end. Which for us is an inch away from the side. I'm just going to baste that in place quickly before we attach the rest of our zipper so that it doesn't move while we're sewing. And this is just personal preference. You could make a crossbody bag with the side connectors. Whatever it is that you prefer is totally fine. And so you can see we're just right before our zipper tab. We're going to go ahead and sew this on at a little less than 1/4 inch. And our zipper teeth are face down against the right side or exterior part of our fabric. I don't know why my thread cutter isn't working. So we're just going to trim our threads. And then you want to just finger press your fabric. And we're going to do a top stitch just where from zipper tab to zipper tab. So the inside of your bag will look like this. We just want to make sure we pull it away. And you just want to keep pressing away from your zipper as you sew. And we just took our time over anything that would have been hard to sew over, like the extra bulk from our webbing. Now, this will be the most difficult part of this quick sewing project, doing the stitching and top stitching for the other side of our fabric. So here is, if you struggle with this, and you know what, we might end up doing this ourselves, you could have cut this in half, and this would be so much easier. we're gonna go for it like this, and if we have to, we will do that. So you could have taken your placemat, cut it directly in half and had 2 pieces and just used binding to put it together at the end, because you'll see it, and I will tell you what that means if we don't end up using that method. So we're doing the same thing here. We're lining up our center marks. Now we want our D-ring connector to be on the opposite side of our bag. So that is this side here, because our D-ring connector is on this side. We don't want them both on the same side. We're just going to make sure we're that inch away. And we're going to baste in place just like we did before. This will just keep it from moving while we're sewing. All right, here we go, guys. We're sewing this on at the same seam allowance as previous. All right, now we're gonna flip. And so now we have to top stitch. This is why I said this is the hardest part of this bag. And so we're going to top stitch from the inside. Outside, but inside. So we've taken our 2B and we have our interior on the outside and our exterior on the outside. And we're going to do our top stitching like this. So we're going to move our fabric out of the way and continue on through the bag all the way till we get to the other zipper tab. And this is why I said this would be the most difficult part of this whole project. If you don't want to do it like this, like I said, this is where you could cut the bottom and you could still do that. So if you get to this part, you try it and you're like, oh my God, I can't. You can still just line it up so that you get the actual center and just cut right across the bottom. And then you open it up and you're going to top stitch like you normally would, and you'd have full access. We're going to give it a go like this. If I get in the way while I'm sewing, I'm sorry. I'm trying to see. I'll try not to. Just trimming up a thread, and we have just a little bit more to go, so we're almost through the hardest part. Now when you get to the other side, you just want to make sure you move your D-ring that you attach to the other panel out of the way. All right, now we just have to get our 2B out. There we go. So I'm gonna flip this just so you can see. But we have now top stitched on both sides. So again, it's more challenging, but it's also a good skill to learn, because I have sewn bags together before that have required you to use that sort of tube sew method. So it's cool to practice, especially when you're using a placemat that costs $1.25. All right, I want to try to attach the bag tag. Which will also require some finagling in our sewing. So I'm just going to pick, I know I'm making a boxed corner. So I'm going to pick about right there so that we don't get in the way of the bottom or the boxed corner. Just taking some double-sided tape, sticking it to the back. And then we just stick it on and we're gonna hope for the best. Oh, that's the back of our bag. No, that's okay. Back, front. It actually doesn't matter. It's just whatever way you like the zipper to go. And so we just turned our bag sort of back, that inside out, so that we can get it underneath our presser foot. If you have like a cylinder arm, or you're able to take your table off, and that's obviously better, but we're just gonna roll with this, and we're just putting a top stitch around. Just trying to keep the fabric flat where we're sewing. Okay. So yeah, it just required a little extra finagling, but totally possible. Again, attaching a bag tag would have been easier if you cut apart the bottom. We're going for easy, but I figured I'd show you some other things too. And there we go. We're on. So now we're turning right side in, wrong side out, and we're going to do the boxing of our corners. And so to do that, I'm just lining up the edges. I'm going to do that on both sides. I just want to make sure we're getting the real bottom. All right, there we go. Lined up, and we're going to go about 1.5 inches. So I'm just measuring 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Excuse my head. And to do that, I've just lined up the corner. And we've drawn our 1.5 inch boxes on both sides. Now we're going to cut those out. And there we are. We've cut out what will be our boxed corners. Now we're just going to sew down. Ooh. We're going to sew down our sides at about 1/4 inch, maybe a little smaller here at the top. Down both sides, and then we are going to box our corners and use binding for the bottom. And we're almost done, you guys. Super fast. One side, and I like to just flip. I do better lining up from the top. You obviously do what works for you. Now you could bind these sides, but we're not gonna. We are gonna bind our corners though. And so here you just, to make a box corner, you want to flatten out your seam, and it should lie flat. We're gonna butterfly our side seams. That will just give us less bulk when we're sewing these together. And then we're going to go across at 1/4 inch. And then we'll add binding and go across one more time. We're just making sure that we flatten out that seam that we butterflied so that it doesn't open while we're sewing. Okay, so this is, if you haven't seen me use this before, it's my fave. It is double-sided bias tape, so it's folded basically in on itself twice already, so there are not raw edges. And if you aren't a huge fan of binding, these little small bits are great practice and great to have you get used to it. I love binding, so what you do here is we're just taking our binding strip. We're going to overhang on both sides. And you just want to close up that raw edge that you have. And you don't have to be super specific. we're just covering up the rawness. So see, both sides. And we'll trim these at the end. And it just gives a nice little finished look. Again, if you're somebody who is not super comfortable with binding, but you see all these awesome bags being done with binding, doing it in small bits is a great way to get more comfortable, get more familiar, enjoy it. It's worth it. And then you just go ahead and sew this on. And we're doing black on black, so you don't have to be crazy about having everything line up. Just go for it. And then here we just line up with our corner cut. Again, don't have to be super specific. And those edges are not gonna fray, so you're good. You just don't want to cut your bag. So just be careful of that. And we're just gonna seal our stitches with our favorite fire tool. Trim up any sort of loose threads that you might see. And then time to turn our bag, which might be one of the easiest turns ever. And we just want to get our corners poked out. We want to come in and poke out our top corners. And then we are going to cut crossbody strap at about 56 inches in total length. And we're going to close our strap with rivets. And we're going to head to the finishing table to sort of put it all together. All right, y'all, we're done. So we just very quickly and pretty simply, super beginner friendly, took a fabric placemat and we turned it into a cute crossbody bag. It's smushy, obviously, not a ton of structure, but we put our strap connectors up the top, which I always prefer whenever I make a crossbody bag, even if it's from a pattern. I typically will put the connectors at the top. I just like, I don't know, I don't like the wing. I don't like the wing look of it, and I can never get it to be even. So I know where I'm flawed. I'm much more likely to get evenness on the top. And we did the zipper tabs on both sides. And of course the inside of our bag is just the inside or the back side of our placemat. We used that bit of binding on the bottom where we boxed our corners, and we did 1.5 by 1.5, which creates a 3-inch long boxed corner. So it creates a pretty good depth to a bag if you're sort of just grabbing some fabric and trying to figure it out on your own, even if it's not a placemat or whichever. 1.5 inches will create you a 3-inch wide bottom. If you do 1 inch by 1 inch, you're going to get a 2-inch wide bottom. And so basically you're just doubling whatever it is that you're cutting out because you're sewing them together. And yeah, we riveted our straps. It's my favorite way to put a strap together. And we just kept with the black and white theme on our webbing, and we did it. So it was easy, it's fast, it's a great way to experiment, whether you're new to sewing or not, with different materials and see what your sewing machine can do and just kind of have fun with it. This is a fun, quick little project, and it would make a really great gift too, like teacher gift or really for anything. So I, as always, appreciate you joining me today. I hope you enjoyed another Dollar Tree DIY from us, and we'll see you soon.